welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at a 1985 Chevy pickup that we pulled from a barn. It's a four-wheel drive, four-speed truck. It hasn't been running a lot of years, so we're going to take a look, see if there's anything we can do to get it up and running. Hopefully you'll learn something, and we look forward to having you back in future episodes as well. Here you go. As you can see, there were a couple spark plugs out already. I pulled the four out on this side of the engine, and they definitely don't look the best. I'll pull the rest out and see what those look like as well. Alright, I've got all 8 spark plugs out. You can see these are in pretty rough shape, so I'm not expecting a whole lot out of this engine, but we'll see. You never know. I've had them look like this before, and the vehicle ends up running pretty good, so we'll check it out. Okay, it's really windy outside today and fairly cold, so we used the tractor and drug this truck inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up a starter button to it so I can start this from up under the hood instead of having to run around to the inside. I threw one of the ends down in near the starter, and you'll hook that up to the S wire on the starter and the other end to the positive terminal on the battery. And in that case, then you can just hit the button to turn the engine over. That'll make it way easier to do the compression test. Be sure the vehicle's in park or neutral when you do that so you don't run yourself over, especially if it's a manual transmission. Something I discovered on this truck is somebody took the ends off the battery cables. Not really sure why. You can still hook up to those and it'll work just fine. I just have to determine which one goes to the starter and which one goes to the block. If I look down in here, you can see this wire goes to the block, so that'll be the ground, and then this one will be the starter wire. So that's the way I'll hook them up. Alright, so at this point we've got the starter button hooked up. We've got the one terminal on the positive, and then the other one is on the S wire down on the starter. So at this point, the truck's in neutral. We can just hit the button and it'll turn the engine over. Now we'll be able to hook our compression tester up to the engine and go through each cylinder and see what kind of compression we have on each cylinder. What I'm going to do the compression test, you get a compression set kit, and you find the end that matches the thread on your spark plugs. And then you screw it into the hole and make sure it's good and tight so you don't get any leaks. And then when you turn the engine over, you watch the gauge to see where it's at. As you can see, that one jumped up quite a bit. We're at about 180 pounds on that particular cylinder, so that one looks really good. Okay, I moved the compression tester to the next cylinder. Let's see what we got here. Alright, we're up at about 180 on that one as well. You'll do the same thing for each of the cylinders, and hopefully you get them all within about 10% of each other. So, within 18 pounds on this case. So let's do some more and find out what we got. Alright, let's try the fourth one. Alright, that one's not good. That one has hardly any compression in it. The other thing that happened, I don't know if you heard it on the tape, it blew water out of the radiator. So obviously there is a issue in the head or head gasket on that particular cylinder. That's not looking good for this engine. In case you're wondering why the antifreeze ran out there, the lower radiator hose is not connected down there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but it pressurized the water chambers and blew the water back out through that lower radiator hose. So that's telling us there's a bad issue in that cylinder. Alright guys, what I decided to do is I put all the spark plugs back in, and I'm going to just see if this thing fires, just so I have an idea if you know, everything else is in good working order and if it's just the head gasket. The other issue that this truck has is somebody pulled all the wires off at the same time and just left them lay. You'll see it's like that on both sides, so what we have to do now is figure out what the firing order is and figure out which wire goes where. So I'll show you guys how to do that, and we'll get to it in a little bit. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to determine what the firing order on this is. I went online and Googled it and looked it up. You can see it here. It's basically the same for all Chevy V8s from back in many decades back in that era. So what we're going to do is we located number 1 from that picture that we saw, and I ran that wire down and plugged it into the number 1 cylinder. So the next one that we're going to look at is going to be number 8. So number 8 will be the back cylinder on the passenger side, and you can see the rotation of the distributor in the picture. So we're just going to follow that all the way around, and that way we'll know everything will be hooked up correctly. Okay, so we followed the routing that we looked at on the phone and got all the wires hooked up to the correct cylinders. So now what we're going to do is check the oil, make sure we've got oil in this engine, and then go ahead and turn the key on inside. Otherwise the spark will not fire through the spark plugs. It won't start. So, and then we're going to pour a little bit of gas in the carburetor and see what happens. So here we go. Okay, I've got my high-tech can of gas here, and what we're going to do is we're going to pour it into this vent right here. This will put some fuel in the fuel bowl of the carburetor, and then we'll also shoot some down the actual carburetor itself. And the key is turned on, so we will see if it fires at this point. Alright, let's see what happens. Be sure it's in neutral or park. Alright, it fired right up. So that was a good sign. At this point, we know it'll run. We know, we need to have a head gasket put on this engine, and we'll see what happens from there. Now, before, when I mentioned to check the oil before you start it, also take a look at the drain plug. This particular one had a drain plug that was just barely started in there, so you'd ended up pouring oil in it and ended up with it on the floor. So be sure you check the drain plug as well. Okay, we're going to pour a little more gas in it this time and let it run for a longer time. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to have any big major issues where I had to run around and shut it off real quick. Alright, let's fire it up, see what happens. Alright, so now we pretty much know that the thing that's wrong with it is that last cylinder on the driver's side has a head gasket issue. Other than that, it seems to run pretty well. So we'll figure out what we're going to do about that, and we'll let you know. I've got someone interested in this truck, so I am going to see if it moves in all the different gears of the transfer case. The person wants to know if it'll move that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook the jumper pack onto it and just go in and turn the key and see if it works. All right, we're in 2 high, so let's just turn the key and see if it moves. Yep, it moves. So we'll put it in 4 high, see if it moves there. Moves there. Put it in 4 low, see if it moves here. It moves there. Try reverse. It moves there. We'll go second gear. Oh, put it in second gear. Now we'll go to third, I guess. It moves there. Fourth. It moves there. Let's go back to second now. And the truck moves in all the gears and all different positions in the transfer case. So all of that stuff is good. Alright, this person also wants to know how many miles are on this truck. I have no idea if that's accurate or not, but it looks like 52,375. So I'll let them know that as well. I'll show you guys another car that we have here at the shop. It's this 65 Mustang. The real cool thing about this car is it's basically completely rust free. If you look in it, I mean, all the floors are in great shape. You know, all the sills where the windows go are really nice. Can't really see it here. There's some old seat frames in it, but everything in here is, you know, super rust free in this car. So this would be a good project for someone. If you're interested, let me know. I'd love to get it to a new home. All the frame rails, everything, all the quarters and everything are real solid on this car. All the torque boxes are in great shape. Everything is in really nice shape in here. I want to thank you guys for watching this episode. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we look forward to having you back to future episodes where we're going to take a look at a lot of different types of vehicles. Some running, some not running. It'll be a little bit of everything, so we look forward to seeing you back soon. Alright, right now we'll start it in low. Okay, now that I took the key out of my pocket, we will go ahead and start it out in low and see if it moves. And I forgot to turn the jumper pack on.